see you all here. It makes me really happy to be surrounded by friends and family and neighbors and people biking by. We are gathered here today on the traditional territory of all numbers of Indigenous people. Right here where we're standing today, have lived for thousands of years. In fact, 500 years ago right now, this land was being farmed by the Huron-Wendat, when just a few kilometers north, there was the biggest Huron-Wendat village in North America, and they farmed thousands of acres of corn around us. And after the Huron-Wendat were here, the Haudenosaunee were here, and the Anishinaabe made this place their home. And then the Reesers arrived, and the Stofers arrived in the early 1800s, and then they brought their relatives from far and wide, and you brought your relatives, and we have all made this place our home. So I want to start by acknowledging those who have gone before us and cared for this fantastic land around us, and it is our job as we live together and share this land in peace and harmony to work together for good. I do want to thank the Reesers for opening up this beautiful farm market. It's true the strawberries aren't quite ready. You'll have to come back in a few weeks for the strawberries, but what a beautiful venue on a beautiful day. I want to thank Jay and Miriam and for all of the volunteers who have pulled off this wonderful opportunity to be here. I'm happy to see you all, and I wanted to make sure that when I made a decision, when I made an announcement, that you, as representatives of Markham-Stouffville, we didn't invite all 100,000 constituents, but invited as many as we thought we could fit in. I wanted you to be the first to know about the decision I made, and many of you have been asking about it. I've been deliberating, I've been getting your advice, and now I've made a decision. So I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'll give a bit of explanatory details later. I want you to know that I have decided to put my name forward as a candidate in the federal election for October 2019. And I know you're all wondering what color I was going to wear today, and I didn't want to give any hints. So I am going to run in the federal election as an independent candidate for the people of Markham-Stouffville. Thank you. We're going to do it together, yes. All of us together, independent. Now, some of you may be surprised, and there's probably a few of you who are wishing for something different. That's okay. I heard a whole range of advice. Being a member of Parliament for the people of Markham-Stouffville has been an enormous privilege. And when I did ask you for your advice, you gave me all sorts of suggestions. But the most common response I heard from you was, please stay in politics. Please offer yourself again. So the next decision was how to do that. But you know, I've been really proud of what we've been able to do, and it's not me that's done it, it's all of us together. I have an amazing constituency office, a big kudos to my team up there who really provide a great service, and I want to keep providing great quality federal services for the people of Markham-Stouffville. So that was one of the reasons that I thought, I'm not done with federal politics. But I also was impressed by the people who stopped me on the streets, in the grocery store, in the pharmacy, in the restaurants in the community. And one of the common things that I would hear, I can't tell you how many times people said this to me, it would be a parent who would come up to me and say, I want to tell you about the impact your story has had on my daughter. And they would say, I have a 12-year-old daughter, or I have a 16-year-old daughter. And when my daughter saw that you stood up for something that you believed in, and that you weren't afraid to speak the truth, and you weren't afraid to sacrifice your career, they have learned from that how to be courageous and how to take steps, not always knowing the outcome. And so it's for those young girls that I want to say, there is a future. Don't ever be afraid to speak the truth. Don't ever be afraid to stand up for what's right. What lesson would it be for those young girls if I were to walk away? If I were to walk away with my tail between my legs and say, you guys are too strong for me. I'm afraid of you. What lesson would it be? I need to persevere. Exactly. So we are ready for a new lesson to say, hang in there, speak for the truth. The other thing that I heard over and over again is people said, we are getting really tired of hyper-partisan politics. Can't we get beyond partisan politics? They said to me, the system seems dysfunctional. It seems like all they're doing up there in Ottawa is fighting with each other. And there's a disconnect. We don't feel like the people in Ottawa are connected to us, the people. And party politics is a big part of the disconnect and the dysfunction. And so I heard what you wanted. You said you want politicians who will treat each other with respect, who will collaborate and work together across party lines, who will believe in what is possible and find the voices, find the minds, find the creativity across all parties to solve the big problems that are facing us. We want to solve problems across election cycles so we don't have one party bringing in a whole range of initiatives and then as soon as the election happens, the next guys tear it all down and start with another whole range and waste a lot of time and money in the process. If we could build those solutions together across party lines and say that this work is going to outlive this government, it's going to be bought into by people across the political spectrum, then we can really get stuff done. People want politicians who are authentic, who really present the real deal. They want politicians who are accountable, who are willing to admit that from time to time we make mistakes, but we're going to own up to them, and then we're going to get things right and move on. And people want politicians that are bold, that realize we have some serious existential threats in this country. We have threats like climate change that is literally putting this planet at risk. And I'll just pause on that because look around, those of you who can see out a door on these gorgeous fields out here on the 9th line in Markham. This is the place, one of the places on Earth that's going to be affected if we don't make some serious changes. Think about what would happen to this research farm and the next research farm and the next farm if we have serious drought in the years to come, if we have floods, unexpectedly high rainfalls. You ask a farmer, and there's plenty of them in this room, you ask a farmer if they care about climate change, and they're going to tell you it's a serious problem. We have to keep feeding this planet, and we're not going to do it if the climate keeps getting warmer and warmer. We have only scratched the surface on what has to be done for climate change, and together we can go the next level. We know that we're always going to need power. We're not going to stop wanting to travel. We're not going to stop wanting to plug in our devices and use electricity. But we should have bold new investments in alternative sources to get that power and energy. And it's going to take a bold transition to do so, but it's the right thing to do. We need political will. And who better to build political will than independent voices that aren't afraid of anybody? And on that note, as we talk about climate change, I have to give a shout out to my amazing colleague, Elizabeth May. Many of you know that Elizabeth and I have had a lot of conversations in the last few weeks. I think she is doing fantastic work. She needs to be listened to. She and her green team have outstanding ideas for the future of this planet, and I intend to be her ally. I intend to work with her to fight for the kinds of initiatives that will save this planet. We're going to do it together. We have so many other big challenges. Look, we've got work to do on democratic reform in this country because I have learned in the last few months more than I ever knew in my life about the fact that the system is broken. We need to find a way that every voice, when they go to the ballot box, will know that their vote counts and that they will be well represented in Parliament. We have an amazing amount of work to do on Indigenous rights. I know how much the people of Markham-Stouffville care about that because you tell me that all the time. And those are huge challenges that we're facing to make sure that the rights and well-being of Indigenous peoples are respected. Our country will not move forward effectively unless we respect those rights. But these are all the kind of big challenges that we can't solve if we're constantly fighting with one another. This is a cry for cooperation. Let's cooperate. Let's collaborate. That's the only way we're going to solve these hard problems. And so I'm hoping that today, as I announce my candidacy as an independent, that others across the country, nobody else in Markham-Stouffville, hopefully, at least not too many of you. I mean, if you want to, like, jump in. This is for everybody. But I hope across the country other people will say, you know what, none of the parties is exactly me. Like, I can't fit myself into an exact box of a party, but I feel like I could represent my community well. Then go for it. Go for it. We need independent voices who will work with independent partisans to solve the big problems of our time. You know, it's kind of a funny word, the word independent. It strikes me as a bit of a paradox, because you think that maybe independent means you're not prepared to work with anyone, that you're going to go it alone. That is absolutely not the case. The truth is that independents will work with everyone. White goes with everything, this color, just in the same way. It looks great with blue and orange and red and green. Bring it all on. We're going to work together. You know, the past couple of months, much to people's shock, I have actually enjoyed being an independent member of Parliament. I would never have thought it was possible. I didn't lose my voice. I found my voice. There is no longer a political party telling me what to say. There's no longer a political staffer telling me how to vote. There are no longer corporate lobbyists that are influencing the direction that I would go. The only people that are the boss of me right now are you. You, the people of Markham-Stouffville. You're the boss of me. But no political party is. We're going to work together. We need bold, independent action on the biggest problems facing our community, our country, and our planet. And I'm going to need a lot of help. I'm thankful that many of you have already said to me today that you're ready to help. You're ready to dig in. Well, I hope that nothing I've said so far has dissuaded you, because we need to all work together. And I hope you'll get on board. I have a website which, if all of the technical geniuses have done things right, I'm seeing a thumbs up that we have a website that's now gone live, so people can check that out. I'm going to need dozens, if not hundreds, of volunteers. We're going to start our first canvassing this Saturday. We're meeting at the beautiful Village Hive just down the road in Old Markham at noon on Saturday. We're going to talk about how we're going to get out in the community, and then we're going to go knock on some doors. So if you're free on Saturday at noon, please join me for that. I am going to need people to put up beautiful lawn signs. I've talked to some of the artists in the room about how we're going to get creative. We're going to make the most beautiful lawn signs in the country here in Markham-Stouffville, because there are no rules. We are going to paint outside the party lines. And I am going to need some financial support. So if you find it in your ability today, tomorrow, in the months to come to be able to make a donation, I believe there are volunteers who are set up to be able to accept donations today. I'm going to be honest with you. There are a few things that are rigged a little bit against independent candidates. I can take donations effective immediately. I will give you a receipt if you make a donation today or in the next couple of months. Between now and when the writ drops, that receipt will not be eligible for a tax credit. So I'm going to ask you to make a bit of a sacrifice in the next couple of months if you can. Starting when the writ drops, any donations made after that, which will be roughly the beginning of September, all of those will get a receipt for tax credit. So this is all about telling you the truth, and that's the way it works. So if you can give a donation now, or if you want to wait until the writ drops, we will need some support. I want to hire a campaign manager. I need a campaign office. We have to order some of those beautiful signs as we create them together. And spread the word, please. I believe for an independent to get elected, we're going to need to get people out to vote that don't ordinarily vote. And I totally think that that's possible. Because there are people who stay home because they say, nobody represents me. I see those people. I see those parties, and I don't feel like I fit anywhere. Well, you don't need to fit anywhere. You just want to believe in democracy, and you can put your name on a ballot for an independent candidate. So let's find all those people who don't normally vote and get them out.
Jane, I believe you are talking about consensual government.
That is part of it. Absolutely. So I'm going to take some questions in just a few minutes from my friends and neighbors of Markham Stouffville, and then we'll hopefully have time for a few questions from the media. I wanted to end off, I wanted you to go from here and use your imagination about what this is going to look like. And I thought I'd help put a song in your head. So in a few minutes, once we break up here, thanks to Mike for the great songs that he's been playing today. The song, hopefully he's going to play as everybody goes out, is a song by Rachel Platten. It's called Fight Song. And forgive me, all the Mennonites in the room who don't like the fighting connotations, but I think you'll be okay with the fight song. You know what, the reason I like this song is because it speaks to not underestimating the potential of small things, of what one small thing can do. And this song starts off like this. It says, like a small boat in the ocean, sending big waves into motion, like how a single word can make a heart open. We may only be one seat, but together we can change the world for the better. Don't doubt yourself. Let's go out from here and do great things for Markham Stouffville and Canada. Thank you. We're going to hear the rest of that song in a couple of minutes, but first of all, and you can dance too, because I believe dancing is possible everywhere. I'm going to hand this to somebody who can take care of my paper, and then see if you have some questions from constituents. Anybody have questions? Are you puzzled? Anybody got a question? A comment?
God help the liberal who runs against.
Well, maybe the Liberals will decide they don't need to run anyone against me because we got this, folks. We got it right here. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to get out there and have a positive campaign and hear what the people of Markham Stouffville have to say, hear what matters to them, and encourage everybody to get out to vote. Edward has a question.
Hi, Jane. When was it that you came to the conclusion that you will run as an independent? And how long did it take you to reach that decision?
Thanks, Edward, for the question. I will be honest with you, it was a hard decision. I decided fairly early on when I was evicted from the Liberal caucus that I still didn't believe my work in Ottawa was done, that if the people of Markham Stouffville want me to go back and represent them, that I wanted to be available. So then the question was how, and I had great conversations with several other parties and lots of enthusiasm, but none of them sat exactly right. And I felt in my heart of hearts that the independent option would allow me to be able to have people who may have had allegiances with another party in the past, but didn't quite feel that their voice was being heard, to say, let's get on board. I hope you will have learned to trust me, and I hope that I will be able to adequately represent everyone. Thank you. And I have a question coming in the back there. Do you want to take the mic?
How coordinated are you with Jody Wilson-Raybould today and her announcement?
Thank you for the question. That's one that I thought somebody might have. So many of you know my friend and colleague, the Honourable Jody Wilson-Raybould, and if you are paying attention on your smartphones, you'll see that she announced something quite similar today. Of course, I'm working very closely with her. She's a colleague. We've worked on a lot of important legislation together, things like medical assistance in dying and the legalization of cannabis. I learned so much from her when I was Indigenous Services Minister. So of course, we've been through some trials in the last few months. the point about being an independent is you will collaborate with anyone and everyone who's willing. And Jody is, of course, someone that I collaborate with well. I think I want to see independents and, in fact, members of Parliament from other parties who will work together. I told you how we're working alongside Elizabeth May. I've had some great conversations with people like Michael Chong, one of the Conservatives members of Parliament, who's really interested in democratic reform. That's the beautiful thing, and that's how we're going to be able to go forward together. So, yes, I'm working with Jody, but I'm working with anybody that is willing to say, let's stop fighting. There's too much work to do. One more. Mr. Can you get a microphone to the back there? No, pass the microphone over to Lloyd. He doesn't know what to do with the microphone.
Here, there you go. Take the mic.
I can shout this out, Dr. Jane.
Pardon me?
I can shout this out if you want, but I've got the mic.
Sure you can.
Just wanted to ask, in a minority situation, would you consider voting for the Liberals once in a while?
Thank you for the great question. So this is a question from Lloyd, who is our neighbor here and a constituent in the riding. Thank you for coming out. Would I be willing to cooperate with other parties in a minority situation? As an independent member of Parliament, the way that I decide to vote will be based on three things. Number one, what do the people of Markham-Stouffville think? Have I heard from them on this issue? That needs to be taken into serious consideration. Number two, what does the evidence say? Study the issue and find out what the evidence says as to how you should vote. And number three, from time to time, my conscience will actually be a factor that will have to weigh in. Those are the only three things that I have to take into consideration. I don't have a party saying how to vote anymore. So I will, in the right circumstances, of course I would support a minority government in the broad sense. We'll see what happens in October. It's going to be a really interesting election overall. There are lots of people who are expecting a minority government. We'll see what things look like on October 22nd. And like I said before, I will work with anyone who wants to solve the big problems that our country needs solving.
Jane,
Yes.
whatever else we do, can we make sure that we don't call this the white party of Stouffville?
Thank you. See the people. Okay, let's cut that right now. Don't ever say that. This is about all, and I thank you for bringing that up. I wore this today mostly so that people wouldn't, have the answer before I got to the podium. But absolutely not. This is every color. This is every Canadian, every resident of this country working together for the good of all.
It's the right party.
Yes.
Can I just say thank you on behalf of all of us here that you decided to make this decision because you're going to go, girl. We just know that.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So let's stay in touch. Are you with media?
Yes, I am.
Okay, is everybody okay if I move to some media questions? I will be available. You guys all know how to find me. I'll send out emails so you have the website address. And let's go to a couple of media questions.
Yes, Oliver, CTV National. It's no secret that the Green Party would have probably loved to have both you and Jody Wilson-Raybould. Just wondering why you decided not to join them.
Thanks for the question. So I think I alluded to this a little bit earlier. It's true that I had serious conversations with at least a couple of the other parties. In particular, I had many conversations with Elizabeth May. I have nothing but the utmost respect for her, for the incredible work that she and her party have done, particularly on the issue of climate change. I want to work with her. But you know what? When I became a Liberal, a number of years ago and decided to become a Liberal candidate, I did that after years of reflection, studying their policy, studying their platform and what they stood for. I had to make a decision in a much shorter period of time, and unless I could feel like I was 100% authentically green, I thought the most honest thing to do was to say, you know what, I'm not sure exactly where I belong, because I see good in all parties. I see many good things, and I see problems in all parties. That's why I want to run as an independent. There are countries in this world, like the Republic of Ireland, that has some 18 independent members. In Canada, we haven't had that tradition. But why not start it? It's a great idea. We're going to start it. We're going to show how it works.
Given that they do yourself Given what
Can
you just
identify
said,
yourself with
yeah,
social
I'm Chris
media?
Glover with CBC. Given what you just said there, do you see yourself rejoining a political party at this point?
One thing about politics is it's very hard to predict the future. So I will be running as an independent candidate, and if the people of Markham-Stouffville want me to represent them in Ottawa as an independent member of Parliament, then I will take that mandate given to me by the people and go to Ottawa to work in that direction. After that, 4 years down the road, who knows what will happen? The people have the say, and if I am running as an independent, that's what they can expect.
Another supporter alluded to it already about how the Liberal candidate who runs against you will have a very hard time. How concerned are you, as someone who once supported the Liberals and who doesn't often see eye to eye with the Conservatives necessarily, that this move might see ripple effects across the country and make it more difficult for Liberal candidates to beat the Conservatives in a general election?
So I think every person who puts their name forward on a ballot, whatever party they are running with, or if they're running as an independent, needs to work hard, needs to prove themselves to the people of their riding, and seek to get elected. It's no question that I think the Liberal Party has an overall awesome platform. I don't think any party has a perfect platform. So I'm going to focus on doing what's best for the people of Markham-Stouffville. The people of Canada will decide who the government is that should be in place.
Madame Philpott, Marc
Oui.
Godbout de Radio-Canada, si vous me permettez en français.
Oui, s'il vous plaît, allez-y.
Qu'est-ce qui a fait la différence? Pourquoi avez-vous dit non au Parti vert? Pourquoi?
Bon, comme j'ai déjà dit, merci beaucoup pour la question. Comme j'ai déjà dit, j'ai beaucoup de respect pour la Parti vert et aussi pour leur leader, Elizabeth May. J'avais eu beaucoup de conversations avec elle et j'aime en particulier le travail qu'ils font avec le changement climatique. Ils ont un plan extraordinaire et il faut vraiment étudier ce plan-là. Mais dans mon cœur, je n'étais pas certaine, 100%, que je suis verte complètement. Et je n'ai pas eu assez de temps pour étudier toute leur politique. Et avec ça, j'ai décidé le plus honnête décision serait de me présenter comme candidat indépendante.
Deux autres questions, si vous me permettez. La deuxième, vous avez dit aux gens tout à l'heure l'importance des ressources sur le terrain une fois que vous êtes candidate indépendante. Ce que j'aimerais savoir, est-ce qu'il y a des gens de l'association libérale qui ont fait campagne avec vous, des gens de l'exécutif qui ont décidé de vous accompagner dans votre démarche?
Dans le Parti libéral?
Oui, des gens qui étaient dans l'organisation libérale et qui ont dit, Madame Philpott, on vous suit pour faire campagne avec vous comme candidate indépendante.
Jusqu'à maintenant, je n'ai pas eu ces conversations-là, mais comme j'ai déjà dit, je vais travailler avec n'importe qui veut travailler pour adresser les plus grands défis de notre pays. Et si c'est les gens ou bien les candidats de la Parti libéral, je vais travailler avec tout le monde.
Dernière question, si vous me permettez. Vous vous présentez donc sous aucune bannière. Vous insistez sur le fait que votre rôle comme indépendante sera très important. Est-ce que vous vous engagez à commencer et terminer votre mandat comme indépendante du début jusqu'à la fin de votre mandat, ou vous n'écartez pas la possibilité de pouvoir aller vers quelqu'un d'autre, un autre parti?
Bon, jusqu'à maintenant, et depuis le 2 avril, je suis une députée indépendante. Je vais continuer comme ça jusqu'au moment de le mois d'octobre, pendant l'élection. Et je vais me présenter comme candidat indépendante. Et si les gens de Markham-Stouffville me choisissent pour leur représentante, je vais travailler comme un candidat indépendante. Comme ça, je sais que j'ai une voix indépendante. Et c'est les gens de Markham-Stouffville qui veulent m'aider à chaque décision, chaque vote, chaque initiative, chaque enjeu de décider comment il faut travailler à Ottawa.
Jusqu'à la fin de votre mandat?
La prochaine mandat?
Oui.
Bon, ça c'est après 4 ans. Comme j'ai déjà dit, c'est difficile à prévenir l'avenir dans la politique, mais je respecte la décision des gens de Markham-Stouffville. Et s'ils me choisissent comme députée indépendante, c'est ça que je vais rester si je n'entends pas d'autres qui viennent des peuples.
Hi, Dr. Philpott. Laura Stone with the Globe and Mail. I'm wondering, you mentioned working with anyone in a minority situation. Can you see yourself ever working with or supporting the Liberal government if they win a minority?
So thank you for the question. And, you know, these are the things that I want to hear people's views on this. And this is a conversation I suspect I will be asked over and over again. And those of you who go out and knock on doors for me will have a I want to hear what you hear at the doors from people about this issue. Would I work with a potential Liberal minority or another minority government? I will do what is necessary to advance the best interests of this community and this country. And if that means working with others, then of course I would consider it. It's a little difficult right now to predict what the political landscape is going to look like on October 22nd. So I don't want to make any kind of commitment when I don't have all of the information around me. But if it means collaborating together in positive ways, then of course we'll be open to that. We will find the mechanisms to make sure that you, the people of Markham-Stouffville, let me know your views on that. But my general sense is that working together is always better than the alternative.
You and MP Wilson-Raybould obviously had a very public breakup with the Liberals. What message does this send to Justin Trudeau today?
Well, you know what? I would argue a little bit with the premise of your question in the public breakup. I mean, I think they broke up, you know, kids talk about, you know, who broke up with who first. Well, I didn't break up with them. They broke up with me. So I was totally prepared to continue as a Liberal member of Parliament. The Prime Minister decided that they didn't want me in the caucus. So I wished them the very best. I still wish them the best. Those members of Parliament are representing tens of thousands of people. Of course I wish them the best. If they are there in Ottawa with good intention, then I wish them the best. I will work with Liberals, absolutely, because I feel like they are family. But I'll also work with others. And I have learned a beautiful thing as an independent member of Parliament is that there are a lot of good people in Ottawa that want to work together. I don't think I've ever seen that as strongly as I have in the last 2 months.
How do you respond to criticisms that some may say that your entrance now as an independent could split the vote and potentially ensure a Conservative win in this riding?
Well, I'm not worried about this riding. We're going to get out there. We're going to get the... With all due respect, I apologize if that sounded in any way presumptuous, because obviously it will be up to the people of Markham-Stouffville to decide. But I know how hard the people in this room can work, and I know that they're going to get out there and knock on doors, and they're going to tell their friends and neighbors. And I think that we got a really good shot at being able to put together a team that will inspire people, that will inform them on the issues, that will really get people engaged. So, you know, all the best to everybody else that wants to run in this riding. I hope that I can present a positive vision that will be selected by the people as a representative. Across the country, again, as I say, we need to trust the people of Canada to choose the people that are best to represent them. And I don't think anybody at this point can predict what the future is going to look like. We haven't even seen all the platforms of the other parties. We're going to focus on what the people of Markham-Stouffville need. I wish the very best to every other candidate who puts their name forward in this country. I hope they go forward with a positive campaign for the good of people, not a divisive, angry campaign that's about tearing down. We're about building up, we're about creating, we're about protecting this planet and our community, and that's the vision that we're going to put forward.
Did you consult with the NDP as well?
I had conversations with the NDP, yes.
And why did you choose not to go with them?
For pretty much the same reasons. You know, as I said, I was a member of the Liberal Party for a few years before I became a candidate with the Liberal Party. I had plenty of time to decide if I wanted to be a candidate with the Liberal Party, and I knew what their platform was, what they stood for. These other parties, there is good in every party. And I love some of the platforms of the NDP. I love their focus on independent, universal single-payer pharmacare. I think that's fantastic. And I said to the leader of the NDP, I will promote any good idea that you have. I will tell everybody that that's a great idea. And I will do that with any party. The Liberals have an enormous number of good ideas, and I will be happy to work with them on those. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just wasn't sure whether I could fit myself into the box of another party yet. And what matters to me is being able to represent this community well. I can do that with sincerity, and that's the way we're going to go forward. Merci beaucoup, Chimigwech. Merci. Est-ce que je vais venir? Is that okay? Oh, okay.